Labyrinth of Refrain, Coven of Dusk.
Welcome everyone, I am the Depressed Eeyore, and this game has already introduced itself. This is Labyrinth of Refrain, Coven of Dusk. This is a JRPG dungeon crawler style game. It came out for a lot of systems, but it recently came out on Steam, and recently, I mean recently as upon me recording this. The game is a bit expensive, but I bought it, and it was pretty good. I've beaten the game, but I haven't completed it, I guess is the most accurate way to describe my progress for it. It does have DLC. I didn't buy any of it because it's like Hyper Dimension Neptunia style DLC, where it's just like it gives you items in the game or something like that. Well, I think it gives you access to certain items in the game, and I don't really care about stuff like that. And it's definitely not worth the money it's charging. But besides the DLC nonsense, the game itself is, like I mentioned, a dungeon crawling RPG. Steam's been getting a few of these every once in a while. There was one game I tried to record, but it just didn't work out due to the resolution issues and things like that. But this one seems to hopefully record fine, and I find it has enough staying power that I can actually keep it. Well, it kept my interest enough for me to play it, so I guess that's something. I will go ahead and warn you guys though, for any the 3 people that watch these videos. The story can be a bit lewd, and it can also get very dark and gritty, just FYI. There is voice acting. I am keeping it in English, because it requires less reading on my part, but it does mean the pacing of the story is going to be kind of dictated by the voice acting. For the most part, I don't mind the voice acting too much. I haven't listened to the Japanese version yet, but maybe I will eventually. And that's pretty much it, I think. So I guess we'll go ahead and dive right into this and see what happens.
Welcome to the Dusk Theater. You're about to embark on an adventure filled with strange, wondrous happenings. And at the heart of this adventure, there resides a mysterious book. All shall unfold before your eyes. Together, we will see this story to its end. So it begins.
Refrain Eastern Gate.
Here we are, the town of Refrain.
So yeah, I guess this is the first game where it actually has voice dialogue during a loading screen. In fact, she'll actually talk to you when you suspend a game or when you load a game. She'll be like, "Hey, welcome back," or "See you later," and things like that. Obviously, the person that was speaking during the loading is this woman here.
Wow! Look, Madame Dronia! Crabbies! Little pinchy crabbies!
Freshwater crabs from a nearby brook scuttle to and fro near the little girl's feet. The woman lowers her hood, her black hair shimmering as it cascades the length of her back, and the little girl does the same.
Luca, I thought I told you to stay in the caravan. Get back inside now, or I'll turn you into a toad.
Ah! No! I don't want to be a toad! I'll go back! I'll go back!
This is why I hate kids.
Jonia takes out a letter and begins to read it. The broken sealing wax on the letter bears the impression of a crab.
When you arrive, come to my manor. We have other matters to discuss. This small-town peasant has some nerve to be giving me instructions.
What's this? A visitor in our town? How rare. Why, hello, puppet. What's a pretty town like you doing in a girl like this? Anyways, could you maybe spare some change? I already Spent all my booze money for today. Huh? Okay. Got a bum leg, do ya?
Oh, yes.
Let old Newt give you a piggyback tour of our fair town. Hop on, m'lady.
The shepherd leers at Dronya with a hungry look in his eyes.
Newt, was it? I have a sneaking suspicion that you're plenty drunk as it is. I know better than to trust a drunk's memory. Besides, you don't seem quite intelligent enough to be our guide.
What'd you say?
Perhaps you've merely deluded yourself into thinking you're familiar with this town.
That's... well... no, I know more than you, at least.
Is that so? Then, do you know where I might find the Well of Kalaza?
Yeah, of course. Everyone in Refrain knows about the well. It's famous. From the town gate, you just walk straight ahead to the western square. So anyways...
Straight ahead. Then I didn't need to ask you at all. We're done here. Oh, and for the record, I can't afford to waste my traveling expenses on drunk shepherds.
What? You think you can get lippy with me? Just 'cause you got a pretty face and perky knockers?
Like I said, they're pretty upfront about some of the lewdness. Dronya raises her hand and her eyes glow an eerie crimson.
Newt, our business here is finished. Now piss off.
Why, you... Suck a bitch. You ain't even that pretty.
He forgot one of his lambs. What a careless shepherd. So be it. Hey, Luca!
Here I am, Madame Dronya. You called for me?
Take care of this lamb for me.
Take care of it? You mean, like a pet? I get to keep it? Really?
Just make sure it behaves and keep it out of the caravan.
Come here, Baba!
She named it already. That child is usually so indecisive.
Western District, Kalaza Plaza.
Huh? Here? Is this the place, Madame Dronya?
Yes. Our destination is the Well of Kalaza, which resides here in the corner of Refrain's town square. The caravan shall serve as our base of operations, and the prison from which we must send those tedious daily reports.
Oh,
Now, start setting up the caravan campsite, and see that you finish before dusk.
okay. I'll get started right away. Just watch.
And do not bring that lamb inside the caravan, understood? The only thing I hate more than children is animals.
Okay then. Baba, you wait here. Be good, okay?
Now, to prepare for the expedition. Luca, fetch me the Tractatus de Monstrum.
But what about the governor's letter?
Eh?
The letter said we had to meet him once we got here, right? Shouldn't we do that?
My time is far too precious to waste on the likes of him. All he'll do is prattle on and on while saying nothing of actual importance. Now, if you have time to presume what I should be doing, then begin the preparations. Chop chop, Luca.
So, yes, our two main characters is going to be Dronya the witch and her apprentice, Luca. Needless to say, Dronya has quite the personality. Very positive, you know, really likes kids and animals and just a people person, really. The caravan will serve as your base of operations. Before you face the labyrinth, make sure to take all necessary precautions. So this game does have, this game is made by the same people that make Disgaea, I believe, and I believe they made something that's like The Witch and the 100 Nights or something like that. I don't remember what it's called, which is another sort of dungeon crawling game. And this game, as a dungeon crawler game, it actually has some pretty interesting mechanics. And this game does its best to try not to kind of feed you the information as you go along and unlock things as you go along type situation. But in the beginning, it does have a little bit of front-loading as far as some of the information you'll be receiving. At the moment, only the Witch Report and Record Memories facilities are available. When specific conditions are met, you can select Witch Report to view an event and advance the story. Record Memories is the save data function. After using it, you can continue exploring from where you left off. From the title screen, select Continue, then select the save data that you wish to play. More caravan facilities will become available as you advance the story. Now then, once you've saved your game, please select Witch Report. You don't tell me what to do. So I can save the game, but I'm not going to right now. So save your progress, or we can report your findings to the Lady Witch. Report your findings to the Lady Witch will advance the story, even though we're not anyone to report to yet. Also, I cannot open the menu right now. Calaza Plaza, outside the Rotunda.
Is this the well?
This appears to be the Well of Calaza. It's inside this rotunda, to be precise.
But it's locked. That means you're not allowed inside. Isn't that what a lock means?
It's not much of a lock, really.
Are you gonna open it with your magic?
Shut up! Keep your voice down.
Using 2 wires, Dronia picked the lock with minimal effort.
Breaking and entering? You can't do that, Auntie Dronia!
Relax, I'm not bothering anyone. Besides... What did you just call me?
Dronia closed her fist, exposing a prominent pointy knuckle, and bonked Luca on the head. Youch!
You can't do that! I won't put up with this, Madame Dronia!
Must you always cry? Come, the well is waiting for us. Rumor has it this well is connected to an underground labyrinth. That rumor may, in fact, be true. I sense a vast amount of magic coming from below.
It looks really old. Are we going down the well? Is that even safe?
For us? No. It's full of miasma down there. That's no place for humans. In fact, no human has ever gotten out alive, with one exception. Luca, fetch the Tractatus de Monstrum.
Okie dokie, I'll go get it. Let's go, Baba.
Leave the lamb. Just bring me the book at once.
Baba seems attached to Luca.
Hey, I gotta work right now. I'll feed you later, but you gotta wait right here, okay?
No one has ever gotten out alive. Well, that's why we have the Tractatus de Monstrum and the puppet soldiers.
I like how our lips move during our ellipses. The moment Baba looked away, Dronia gave this lamb a firm kick and sent the poor thing tumbling down the well. How horrible. Even the narrator agrees.
Shut up! You'll draw attention to us. No sound of impact. Interesting.
Baba! You killed Baba! You're so mean, Madame Dronia! You're the meanest! The meanest!
Ugh, all this racket over one sheep. Shut up! Now, did you bring the book? Throw it in.
Huh? In the well? No, Madame Junia, we can't do that. Then Tracty will die too.
Tracty? Don't give it a nickname.
We don't know what'll happen if we throw it in. And I got a bad feeling about this.
You only get a bad feeling when you're about to wet the bed.
That's not true. I don't want the bed.
Just give me the book already.
Jonia snatches the Tractatus demonstrum from Luca's hands and drops it down the well.
Now, Tractatus de Monstrum. Go forth and conquer the unexplored underground Labyrinth of Refrain.
Obtain the Tracty skill, Dousing Pendulum. Go forth and explore the labyrinth. A wooden puppet springs forth from the Tractatus demonstrum. The magical energy of the underground labyrinth transforms the wooden puppets into man-sized soldiers. The Tractatus demonstrum cannot move, but the puppet soldiers can carry it as they explore the labyrinth. It seems Luca named each doll soldier herself, but don't worry about that right now. Let's keep moving. Alright, so yes, these are all of Luca's dolls. We got Crowley, Kermit, Bruce, Arachne, and Ophid. And I still have no access to my menu right now, so I actually can't really do too much editing with this group. And we'll go over classes and things like that later. In any case, though you can return to the caravan from here, your intuition is telling you to continue exploring. In other words, we need to actually come back for something. This is the entrance to the Labyrinth of Refrain. They say it's filled with wondrous treasures that are guarded by monsters and traps. This, of course, is enticing bait for adventurers. However, it's not, shall we say, wise for humans to enter the labyrinth, so we'll be sending puppet soldiers to explore instead. Now then, let's begin the exploration. Luca worked really hard to make these puppets, and it would be a shame not to use them. Use the up or A to move forward, and down to move backwards, and left and right to change directions. While facing a direction, you can sidestep by pressing the left trigger and right trigger, or by pressing B and the directions. While exploring the labyrinth, you will encounter and fight monsters. The enemy radar at the top of your screen will glow red when you approach a monster. Proceed with caution in such instances. Yeah, so we got a little pendulum that's kind of, as we move, it'll kind of, the higher the meter, the closer a monster is. If it's full, that means it's right next to you. And if you hear a little ding sound, that means that a monster has spotted you. Right now, we actually can't visually see a monster, so we have to rely on the meter. Also, I am playing this on a controller. I think a dungeon crawling RPG generally is better on a controller, but you can do mouse and keyboard. Those are supported for the most part. In fact, if you move the mouse around, it'll do kind of like a little arrow icon to kind of direct yourself. But this is an excuse for me to not have my wrist resting on, a mouse pad and things like that, so I'm sticking with a controller. It won't open. Maybe there's a switch somewhere. Alright, so these glowing things here is mana. And it'll give you some mana, and you might notice on the top left where it has reinforcements, mana, and then item drop. Our item drop actually went up 0.3% when we picked up that 29 mana. The more mana we have, the higher our item drop rate is. So it's a good idea to get mana when you can. But it does have some issues. Alright, and we've got some items, though I can't open the menu to look at them. Also, there's a monster literally right next to me right now, and I believe it's right here. Nope. Okay. Okay, it's probably right here. Nope, it's right behind me. Well, I'm just going to go through the door then. Monsters cannot follow you through doors. Obtain blue jewel. Also, you can bump against walls. That does take a turn. Though you can't really see them right now, monsters will move they will move when you move, essentially. And if you bump against a wall or use like use a special ability or activate something, that will also take an action, and then they'll be able to move as well. Alright, got some more mana. Our drop rate went up a lot higher. You also might notice there's a little green bar that's slowly filling up. More on that later. Here we go.
Alright, let's go!
Your puppet soldiers will battle monsters lurking in the labyrinth, so let's go over the battle system. At the start of battle, you will input commands to your puppet soldiers. Your puppet soldiers are assigned to units called covens, and you will issue commands to each coven. Each coven can have up to 3 puppet soldiers assigned as attackers. Current covens equal 1 attacker each. After you've commanded each coven, press Y to confirm your commands, and then select Yes to begin combat. Covens you have not commanded will perform normal attacks when you press Y to start combat. Reduce all enemies' HP to 0 to win the battle. If your coven's HP are reduced to 0, you'll be annihilated and sent back to base with penalties. Donum is crucial for defeating enemies quickly and healing injured allies. Donum is similar to magic and is used by spending DP, Donum points. Wise use of offensive Donum and healing Donum will help you conquer the underground labyrinth. Remember to use the Fortify Coven and Escape commands to avoid worst case scenarios. Select Fortify Coven to bolster a Coven's defense, reduce incoming damage from enemies. Select Escape to run away from combat. Pretty straightforward. The more battles you fight, the more familiar you'll become with the battle system. So what's kind of neat about this battle system is it's not like a left to right type situation. I can pick what order I want to deal with each coven. As mentioned, you actually give commands to covens rather than individuals. There is a way to give commands to specific people, but right now, since each coven only has 1 person, there's not really much benefit to that. So up in the top left, it has Y to start battle. So if you want to, we can just, if I hit Y right now, everyone that I have not given a command to will just do a random attack, which means they'll just do the attack command and pick a random target, which is kind of neat because it's kind of like an auto battle, but it's kind of like an auto battle that you can tweak. Like for example, maybe I want to have someone cast a spell. I can have this person here cast a spell or something like that, and then hit the Y button. So that person I have given a specific command will do that specific command, while everyone else will just be randomized. The only other thing to talk about, you can actually swap positions with the left bumper. So if I want to, I can go from Vanguard to Rearguard. Essentially, Vanguard's the front line, Rearguard's the back line. Monsters tend to focus on the Vanguard. Also, certain weapons work better in certain locations. Like for example, a bow works better in Rearguard, while a lance can be used in either or, and a sword can only be really useful in Vanguard. If you use a weapon that's in the wrong position, you'll still do damage, but you'll do less damage. Anyway, I'm just going to do auto. Actually, we have some Dunham, so it looks like Crawley has healing, and healing, it looks like. So everyone has instant aid, which is just a healing spell. So I'm just going to... Oh, also our enemies. If you're fighting normal enemies, you'll actually see their HP. They also have the thing called body, which we'll talk about later when it applies. Alright, so we're just go straight into this.
Here I come.
There you go.
We won!
Alright, you get experience and mana, and sometimes you get drops. Also in the experience screen, that was an opportunity for me to actually look at what covens we had, but I didn't look. Alright, get some more mana. Alright. And let's see, anything else I need to actually talk about? I don't know, I think we're good for now. As my cat is biting my arm. So as always, I like exploring everything. These unused creatures are worthless, Expedition Group. Should have brought less stuff, Expedition Group. Oh, actually, I didn't even read the sign that we passed by earlier, did we? The main aspect doesn't seem that thick, Expedition Group. There we go. so I should have brought less stuff. And we just picked up a training lance, which I can't equip because I can't open the menu. This game does have a variety of weapon types. If you actually look at the portraits, you'll notice there's some little colored squares. Those colored squares represent what your attack elements are. Purple is piercing, blue is slashing, yellow is blunt, and then there's white, which is fog, red is fire, and then there's also mud, which I think is green, if I remember correctly. Alright. So when Arachne attacked, it said mismatch. That means her weapon is not effective in her position right now. So we actually need to move her back a row. Stun and preparation. You have a small chance of stunning enemies whenever you damage them. Enemies, however, can also stun you with their damage. Whenever a character or enemy is stunned, any action they would perform that turn is immediately cancelled. Stuns only last for one round, so you can still act on the next round. Instead of immediately attacking, some enemies will use their turn to prepare an attack to use on their next turn. These prepared attacks are very powerful, and you can defend against them by selecting the Fortified Coven command in battle. You can also attempt to interrupt these attacks by stunning the enemy after they start preparing, or you can kill them. Alright, looks like I've been spotted.
Let the battle begin!
Alright, so it looked like you are a rear guard type.
Here I go.
Alright. And if it ever says effective, that means you're hitting that enemy with an element that they're weak against, which I'm assuming is fire in that case. Alright, and the covens I'm using right now are just witch packs, which seem to be just one slot with a healing ability. Purifying Butterfly is an item that cures poison.
Let the battle begin! I'm coming!
You can hold down the A button to kind of scroll through the information faster. I'll set up camp here, Expedition Group. Not sure who the Expedition Group is, because supposedly there's miasma down here and you can't survive in the miasma. At the front of the gate, a monster is feasting on dead flesh. Grr grr krisha. The monster screams and rushes at you.
Alright, let's go.
Alright. In a boss fight, you do not see what the monster's HP is. And this is an unstable Dragmire. There's not really much to do here besides just attack, so we're just going to attack.
I'm coming! Alright, we got
Gore hit. So I guess I get to talk about gore hits. So if you look at the little body thing, you might notice that there's now a little spot that's in red. In this game, they have critical hits, and then there's gore hits, which are essentially critical hits where you break a body part. And when that happens, it does a variety of effects. It reduces maximum HP and does quite a bit of damage. It can also influence their ability to fight and stats and things like that. Also, it can happen to your puppets. Your puppets have a left arm, right arm, legs, body, and head. If they lose their head, they die, and they cannot be resurrected, and you have to go and repair them. Yeah, getting your body parts blown off can be quite debilitating. Because it's not something you can heal. If you lose a body, like I said, it reduces your max HP, and that applies to us as well. So if you start losing body parts, next thing you know, you have below half HP, and you're just kind of, you know, you got no weapons because you have no arms to attack with. Alright, let's just keep going.
Here I come!
Yeah.
This fight's almost over because we already got a freaking gore hit that did over 100 damage. There you go.
We won.
Also, Arachne is healing after every round and at the end of every battle. because of her passive
All right,
ability.
I'm stronger.
Alright, so some level ups that don't really matter.
I've got
My
no.
So we're just going to cycle through those. Also, our Coven levels increased, which is does something as well. We also got a Saltpeter. A corpse clings to a piece of paper. A message is scrawled on it. Many hath entered the hell beyond this gate, none hath returned. Fly back from whence ye came. You return the slip of paper back where you found it, and leave. The corpse clutches a note that says, "Turn back." Whatever. Pitfall. The brigade receives damage from the fall. This section seems thick with powerful miasma. You may suffer significant damage if you continue this way. Well, we don't really have an option. So right now, the tiles we're on are yellow, which represents yellow miasma. And we don't actually have enough. We can't actually endure yellow miasma despite being puppets. Also, when you fall, you lose about half your HP. And that's if you only fall one floor. If you fall 2 floors, you'll probably have some people at 0 HP. If you fall 3 floors, you probably had a party wipe at that point. Alright, so you might notice I just got hit with a bunch of damage and stats effects, which we'll go over later. But yeah, that's the effect of the yellow miasma. It is killing us right now. Got some thick clothes, and everyone's dead. The Witch Brigade, led by the Tractatus Demonstrum, has fallen. Well, I guess that happened. Well, I'm going to go ahead and call this a video. When we come back, we'll see what happens. I'm the Depressed Eeyore. This was Labyrinth of Refrain, Coven of Dusk. See you guys in a bit.